to AARP Connecticut in your community. Hi, I'm Elaine Werner. I am your host for today's program. I am on staff with the AARP Connecticut State Nonprofit Office, where we do advocacy and community outreach. We come to you in your local community with AARP's purpose in mind, and that is to empower you to choose how you live as you age. In choosing to live how you live as you age, we hope to empower you today with the following information on an aging America and how institutions of higher education right here in Connecticut are responding intergenerationally. Allow me to present some eye-opening trends of aging. We are entering a new era of aging. People are living and working much longer. Statistics show by 2035, there will be more people age 65 and older than under the age of 18. In fact, they say a child who is age 10 now has a 50% chance of living over the age of 104. And in another decade, 25% of Connecticut state population will be over the age of 60. Let me repeat that. A quarter of Connecticut state population in another decade will be over the age of 60. Responding to the challenges and opportunities that come with a growing trend in our aging population absolutely demands innovative thinking for our colleges and universities, particularly in Connecticut. Did you know that Connecticut is home to the 7th oldest population in the United States? Thus, today our show is entitled University Trends, Age Inclusive Practice. And I'd like to introduce right away now the first of our three guests. I'd like to welcome my colleague in the AARP Connecticut Nonprofit Office, Erica Michalowski. Welcome, Erica.
Thank you, Elaine. It's happy to be here.
Well, and nice to have you back. Erica's a familiar face on AARP Connecticut in your community. Erica has over 30 years of experience in federal, state, and local programming, enhanced by her history of work in education, policy, and planning in the field of aging and social work practice. She's earned a master's in social work with her certificate of aging practice, and she's created pathways for future generations by serving as an adjunct faculty member at all of the following: the Schools of Social Work at the University of Connecticut, Quinnipiac University, and the University of New Haven, Henry Lee Institute of Forensic Science and Criminal Justice, where she teaches aging policy, interprofessional practice, and ageism and exploitation courses. Erica is the AARP Connecticut staff liaison, working in a number of areas, including our work in age inclusion, multi-generational workforce strategies, and the enhancement and development of our age-friendly universities. What a comprehensive and great background, Erica. I always say I like to bring the experts, so I consider you that in the aging trend community. So Erica, set up the show for us today, if you would please, before I introduce our other guests. If you can give us an overview of the age inclusive movement, a little background, and what is an age-friendly university, and how did this trend evolve, please?
Sure, I'd be very happy to, Elaine. The Age-Friendly University Network consists of institutions of higher education around the globe. And they've been people and universities that have endorsed the 10 age-friendly university principles and committed themselves to becoming more age-friendly in their programs and their policies as a university. This was pioneered by Dublin City University to promote these 10 principles and invites its members and affiliates from all over the world to call upon their institutions to become a part of this pioneering initiative. And joining the AFU network of global partners offers institutions the opportunity to learn about emerging age-friendly efforts and to contribute to an educational movement of social, personal, and economic benefit to students of all ages in institutions of higher education alike. And this opportunity for universities reflects the work of an international interdisciplinary team convened by Professor Brian McGrath, then president of the Dublin City University, to identify the distinctive contributions institutions of higher education can make in really responding to these interests and needs of the aging population that we're seeing in real time. We now have the pleasure of working with Christine O'Kelly, who has joined Dr. Finelli, another one of your guests today, and I, in so many of our efforts to engage universities and the public on this ever evolving topic of age friendly universities. My favorite topic, Elaine, you know that.
Well, I hear that passion coming through, Erica, and I love it being international and global, and the of course connection to Ireland there. Awesome. Um, Erica, I mentioned some aging trends in my intro. How has ARP been working with universities, and why is this work, ARP's work, vital to the aging trend?
Yeah. The Age Friendly University Initiative, it fits directly into our ARP priority of age inclusion strategies, and that impacts our communities, classrooms, and the multi-generational workforce we're seeing in real time. We have an opportunity to help the next generations get out ahead of the curve. You've heard me say this before, in their career ladders. And we do this by having them interact with and volunteer with and work with multiple generations. And we see that as a direct reflection of our current and future workforces. And across communities in the US, the number of older adults, as you talked about earlier, Elaine, is really growing annually at an unprecedented rate, and significantly more individuals are experiencing increased longevity. That's a good thing. Responding to the educational needs and interests of this emerging age population calls for us to really take on new opportunities and innovative practices of teaching, research, and community engagement that colleges and universities are really positioned to offer. And the aging trend, we know it, it's here to stay. So let's lean in. And our institutions can benefit from the aging trend by adapting some of the learning models like those offered at ARP, such as our Disrupt Aging Classroom and our Zero Isolation program, to increase awareness about aging, better prepare our traditional students for a multi-generational workforce and expanded career opportunities, and by supporting learning across the lifespan. This is an opportunity for ARP to not only change conversation and perceptions on aging, but to inspire innovation, research, and community engagement by preparing our students for the changing workforce and who will be their client, their customer, their coworker, their patient. We all know that as an individual's time in the workforce is extended due to this aging trend, we are now working in a truly multi-generational workforce. These changes make it even more important for higher education to show students how to embrace age inclusive cultures and to value an environment of respect and equity for all generations. Additionally, a growing number of career opportunities are always coming up and available from the aging trend, and we know more are set to come.
Wow, that was a mouthful, well articulated and very comprehensive. And I'm going to use the word demand, that these trends demand innovation. And again, therefore, our show today, University Trends Age Inclusive Practice. Thank you, Erica, for that overview. And now I'd like to welcome our second guest, Dr. Lisa Finelli. Hey, Dr. Finelli, there you are. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
A pleasure indeed. And Dr. Finelli is an associate professor and program director for health scientists. She comes to us from the University of St. Joseph in West Hartford, Connecticut. Dr. Finelli has 26 years working with older Americans, including experience as an occupational therapy practitioner, working with physical and neurological conditions in older adults. She has presented extensively on research focusing on clinical education, rehabilitation, and dementia care. Dr. Finelli is an age inclusive, and I like to call her passionate, because I know she is, champion on the path to age-friendly university designation for the University of St. Joseph. So Dr. Finelli, again, I mentioned that you have over 2 decades working with older Americans. You've told me personally that you've developed respect and admiration, including for caregivers, and that you've gained wisdom from the older population. If you could elaborate on that, please.
Sure, Elaine. I've been fortunate to spend the past 26 years as a healthcare practitioner working with older adults. The wisdom I've gained, the life lessons learned, and the level of respect for the caregiver's role in particular is something that you cannot learn from school. Being immersed in it while providing rehabilitation has provided me with a deep admiration for this population. It's really been the catalyst for me to bring a deeper level of awareness about the needs of older adults and the caregiver role to a traditional college age demographic, since these students are in fact the future.
Oh, that's great. And again, I called you a passionate leader here. That definitely comes through. Now you are, we called you an age inclusive champion on the path to age friendly designation for the University of St. Joseph. Talk a little bit, Dr. Familia, if you would please, about University of St. Joseph's age friendly university journey for this designation.
Sure. So the path towards becoming an age-friendly university is quite an exciting journey. Often, many universities are focused, and rightly so, on traditional diversity, equity, and inclusivity factors. However, sometimes the topic of ageism is typically not part of those initiatives. Traditional college-age students are the ideal population to begin this dialogue. So by adopting and following the set AFU principles, USJ is on the path towards joining the global network of age-friendly universities. We continue to bring the Disrupt Aging classroom every semester, as well as expand our outreach throughout the school. We collaborate with AARP and area healthcare organizations to bring the community to campus, both in person and virtually, for educational events to meet the lifelong learning principle. I am offering dementia friend training workshops to the students. My fellow faculty members and I are disseminating information to other faculty members on how to embed topics about aging into their curricula. The administration, faculty, staff, and most importantly, students are supportive and highly anticipating this designation.
Well, and you've touched on that on my next question with a little bit of what you said, but you've also said that you would like, your goal is for the whole university to have themes of aging. Just elaborate a little bit more, if you would, Dr. Finelli, as to what that looks like.
Sure. So personally, I believe meaning and purpose top the list of themes. So the entire university, faculty, staff, students need to realize the importance for meaning and purposeful moments for older adults. This realization can be contagious and hopefully provide some students with a potential career path working with the older adult population, no matter their program of study. I also would love to increase awareness for the caregiver role to our students. Working directly with family caregivers has heightened the need for resources and support, at least in my career. More attention needs to be given to this vulnerable group, as most of them are heading towards retirement while also caring for their own family and taking care of their aging parents. So these themes are part of the top of my priority list when heading towards this designation.
Thank you. And of course, caregiving, near and dear to the work of ARP Connecticut. What do they say? If we're not a caregiver already, and some younger people have been already, that at some point, all of us in our life will be in need of caregiving. So thank you for that. Now I would like to welcome my third guest today. And of course, we're being totally intergenerational right here on the set. We go all the way from, I'm guessing, 20 something to 70 something, and including our executive producer behind the scenes. So we believe in being intergenerational. Welcome, Myrna Sabeh. So nice to have you, Myrna.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
A pleasure. And Myrna is a health sciences student at the University of St. Joseph. She's a junior health science direct entry physician's assistant student. She is, I'm proud to say this, president and founder of the Pre-Physician Assistant Club. She has taken the Disrupt Aging classroom session, and we're going to talk about disrupt aging before we're done. And you told me you wish to destigmatize aging. But first, Myrna, if you would tell our viewer, I mentioned you were president and founder of the Pre-Physician Assistant Club. What is that club, please?
Yes, so the Pre-Physician Assistant Club was created last year at University of St. Joseph with the support of a professor at the PA program here. So this club helps inform students interested in the pre-PA track about the requirements of the program. For instance, we hold meetings to discuss how students can get patient care hours through campus connections, resources regarding personal statement, and even interview practice with a career development advisor. We're also implementing workshops with a PA professor to demonstrate how to do sutures and vital signs, the basic life skills to know. So there's a lot of great things in store with the pre-PA club at University of St. Joseph.
Well, I certainly commend your leadership on being the president and founder of that. And I know you've told me also you have experience working in an emergency room too in Connecticut. So I applaud you for that as well. As mentioned, you said you wish to, quote unquote, destigmatize aging. What do you mean by that, Myrna?
Yes. So there's a small population of older adults around campus. They're either taking classes in undergraduate or graduate college career at University of St. Joseph. So typically, I noticed that there are these older adults that are in classes with younger adults as myself, who are most likely in their 20s. And those younger adults are typically studying alone often. So it'll be great if we can all come together and destigmatize aging by having younger adults and older adults coming together in club activities and studying sessions and even in socialization events around campus.
And we're going to get to the disrupt aging in the classroom also, that certainly focuses on debunking the myths about aging and destigmatizing. Erica, let's come to you. If you could talk about ARP's work to develop age-inclusive opportunities with universities, please.
I'd be happy to. And Myrna, you are an age-inclusive champion. I'm so excited to have you a part of the club. So Elaine, one of the pathways AARP has created for academic communities wanting to work in this space is to offer that Disrupt Aging classroom curriculum, which Myrna took and Lisa hosts every year, which is a 2.5-hour interactive curriculum offered to college and university students to challenge them to examine their aging perceptions and how the growing aging population is relevant to their personal lives, their future careers, their experience on campus, as Myrna talked about. Facilitators have been offering this nationwide in Connecticut, but also all over the country. So just want to give you some stats because I know that you love them, Elaine. So
I do.
Nationally, just this year, we've had over 103 classrooms in 27 disciplines engaging over 3,000 students across the country. In Connecticut alone, thanks to Dr. Finelli and many of our other age-inclusive champions here in Connecticut, our volunteer facilitators have been in 15 classes at 5 universities in 6 disciplines, engaging over 400 students just this year. That's amazing. And this curriculum complements any course of study and can be delivered across disciplines at any university campus. And we've offered it in classes like business and biology, physician assistants, architecture, communications, and more. And it's a way to support those age inclusive champions like Dr. Finelli and so many of my colleagues to introduce the aging trend in an interactive, visual, and a very conversational style. And they talk about demographics and the trends in aging. We talk about ageism, seeing and recognizing older adults as multidimensional individuals, and really taking a look at your own personal stake in the aging trend, and then identifying those opportunities that stem from the aging trend. And what's really very exciting is that educators have been seeing the results in real time. We've seen 93% of the students notice signs of ageism after taking the class. In media, business schools, the curriculum just gives these very tangible activities and opportunities to take what they are learning and put it to practice in real personal ways. I want to tell you one professor, they had talked about having this session, and within 3 days of the presentation, she had messages from students asking when she was offering the program again. She says, quote, "What a gift to our students to have such knowledgeable presenters, ARP volunteers, and such rich content." Another professor from a school of business shared that her students in her managerial communications class are initially surprised that she wanted them to learn about aging. They said, "Why do we need to learn about this?" But after their experience, they end up surprised at how many ways this information will help them throughout their personal lives and their careers. Our occupational therapy, nursing, physician assistant courses, they talk about the difference between students wanting to go into pediatric or peds. I hear that all the time. And then focusing in on aging because it actually is speaking to them. Why? Because they're receiving training around the misconceptions around aging. And with the Disrupt Aging Classroom, it really offers them this look at how age discrimination and ageism is about discrimination based on age, not old age. This allows them to internalize what they've experienced of ageism, what that means for them from their lens, and then it gives them this pathway for them to turn that outwards towards other generations.
Wow. And Erica, we're gonna come to you, Myrna, in just a second because you've been in the classroom. So we're gonna get that perspective that Erica has just tapped into. I do want to mention we are going to put up on the screen the Disrupt Aging in the Classroom website. It's a long one. If you have any questions about this program, you can email ARP Connecticut, that's CTAARP@arp.org, and we'll field your question to the right person and get an answer for you. But Myrna, having attended the Disrupt Aging in the classroom, what have been your takeaways?
So my takeaways was what Erica also touched on. So this class really challenged my peers and I to examine our own aging perception, such as ageism is not about older people as well. It's also about all generations. So it was very interesting to came into this class with typical stereotypes of either younger adults or older adults, maybe most likely older adults being limited to most activities, and then coming out of this class with a positive attitude of older adults having the wisdom and even skills that some young adults may not have, but they're willing to teach us or we teach them. So it's just a whole perception of generations just working together.
So I see in your description exactly how you defined it, Erica. The takeaways are there. And Dr. Finelli, you said that Disrupt Aging takes the myth out of aging. And I know you've had some personal experiences, not only with your parents, but your active grandmother, right, in her 90s. So what do you mean by Disrupt Aging takes the myth out of aging briefly?
Sure. So I was fortunate enough to have I still have a tight-knit family, and I had a 90-year-old grandmother as a confidant and friend at an early age. And it never made me question someone's age. And my parents are close to 80 years old now, healthy, knock on wood, independent. And actually, they're currently bringing my family and I homemade raviolis and sauce for dinner tonight. So because of the attitude of quality of life, we never took notice of the actual number. And being a healthcare practitioner has made me aware of how aging does vary across a lifespan and the appreciation of quality as well as quantity.
So you've really lived that word that we're using frequently here, intergenerational. And very briefly, Dr. Finelli, what impact do you see coming from this partnership with ARP and becoming an age-friendly university? Let me put it this way. What would give you the greatest satisfaction of results long-term?
This partnership, we are quite fortunate to have the resources and the state rep Erica as our cheerleader and constant source of collaboration in helping us attain the AFU designation. University of St. Joseph is just, we're immersed in this becoming an age-friendly university. And I think ultimately our greatest satisfaction will become that designation. But most importantly, we'll be hearing directly from the students, the impact these events, the Disrupt Aging Classroom, community events, in possibly shaping their career path.
Fabulous, fabulous. So the show always goes very fast. But quickly, Erica, I heard coming up in 2022 that there's going to be a livable community conference. We're going to put that website up, by the way, www.arp.org/livable with Masonic Care. If you can quickly tease that for us, please.
Sure, I'd be happy to. University of St. Joe's, they've been such a great collaborator. In March, we did a Global Aging Network conference, had a wonderful turnout for that. And we're in our 4th year for our Age Inclusive Society, Age Inclusive Society Livable Communities Conference. We did our 3rd one this year with Quinnipiac. University of St. Joe's was involved, and they said, we're up next. And we said, absolutely. So Lisa, Dr. Finelli and I have already been planning with Masonic Care, and we're looking forward to doing that. Look for it in May and June of 2022 and beyond.
Absolutely. And there's a website for all our public events, by the way, arp.org/CT events. Very briefly, just a minute to go. Dr. Finelli, I'm going to come back to you. Any lasting comment, words of wisdom for our viewer, please?
Sure. Right now, we are at an exciting time to educate future professionals about the aging process. And the University of St. Joseph is ready to join the distinguished list of universities who are dedicated to bringing more awareness to the importance of age inclusivity. I am honored to be a champion for this process.
And we're very happy you're leading the charge there. Thank you, Dr. Finelli. And Myrna, to you, any very, very quick lasting comment for our viewer?
Yes, to always keep in mind that we all go through aging and all generations must work together as a community to destigmatize aging.
Love it, love it. And Erica, lastly to you.
It has been the absolute highlight of my career to work with these universities and colleges. Our workforce is multi-generational, so let's get our next generation ready to lean into innovation and learning how to take it to the next level in their personal lives, careers, and networks for years to come.
Well, that is a good coaching, cheerleading last comment for us. Thank you so much, Erica. I'd like to thank all our guests. Once again, Erica Michalowski. She is on staff with ARP, Connecticut Nonprofit Statewide Office, Community Outreach Director. Dr. Lisa Finelli, Associate Professor and Program Director for Health Sciences, University of St. Joseph in Connecticut. And Myrna Sabeh is a Health Sciences student at University of St. Joseph. We're being very intergenerational with all of our guests, including myself today. Thank you all for being here and the great information and the passion that you have given to our viewer. Thank you. And I want to thank you as a viewer. If you are watching today, or I should say, if you are a member of ARP, you are one of over 500,000 members right here in the state of Connecticut. We thank you for that. We hope we've empowered you today with ARP's purpose in mind. That is to empower people to choose how you live as you age. And we brought your attention to age-friendly universities right here in Connecticut. If you'd like to volunteer with any of our programs with ARP, please seek me out, Elaine Warner. All my information is on the screen. Any questions, ctarp@arp.org. We're looking forward to visiting you in your local community soon, and we appreciate you watching. Thank you.